righty. We are back, top of the hour. Just want to let everybody know we're not going to be here the week of the 24th through January 1st, and we'll be, at least final hour, we'll be back January 2nd. So next week I got Mitchell Henderson on with me, and then January 2nd, Jeff and Joe want to join. You're welcome to join. So that's the schedule. Hope to see you all in the next year. And right now we got Peter, and I find this a pretty interesting topic. I'm glad we got into this because I wanted to talk about some of this for a while. And yeah, I kind of want to let you roll with it because I don't think a lot of other hosts talk about this that much, the Tartaria stuff and the old world. No. And you know, that is an interesting take that the buildings were built with the bones, you know, ground up bones probably of humans, because that is pretty wild that, you know, when you think about these catacombs and all these thousands and thousands of bones, there's no arm bones or spines or hips or hands or anything. Right. It's just leg bones, and at least from the pictures we've seen, legs and skulls.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I wonder what the purpose was of decorating like that. Like, what kind of slaves got tasked with that? Like cleaning the bones and stacking them. It's a pretty nasty job.
Right. Yeah, well, I think they get off on it. These are disturbed people doing disturbing things. I think they maybe that was done just for us. I believe around the start of the Industrial Revolution, at the end of this so-called Tartarian age, they prepared their old cities for us. They prepared the catacombs, some of them for us. They closed and flooded some of them, buried some. I think that's what the purpose of the mud floods was, is to fill the old tunnels and chambers and hide the evidence. So they put, for example, the stained glass windows in their temples and cathedrals, and they didn't have them before. The rose windows are particularly interesting to me, and the oculus in the Roman Pantheon, which is still empty, has no glass in it. So whenever it rains, they get rain coming through, and that was, you know, that's so strange, and the explanation for it is so flimsy that I started really asking for explanations. What is the true purpose of the oculi in the Roman Pantheon? And well, they say it's to keep the building cool. You know, the updraft, the hot air can escape, and that's silly because there are many buildings of similar size. They do not need vents, giant holes in their roofs to keep cool. They are made of thick rock, stone, and there's just no need for it. So what was the true purpose of the hole in the ceiling? And I believe it used to feature a large magnifying glass that was used to cook. The whole building was a kitchen for cannibals who liked to weaponize the sun and use the sunshine as a heating device, heating source. And the myths around the Pantheon, the myths around the Pantheon confirm that. They're all hinting at the thing being used to produce heat. There is one of the myths is about a shepherd bringing his sheep in once a year to celebrate some stupid ceremony, and he had to jump through fire. Yeah, it's a hint that people are getting burned or cooked in there. Even the word pantheon is a polyglot, compound cryptogram. It's a play on the word pan. It's a pan for cooking for the gods, the pan of the gods, pantheon.
Right. Interesting.
So, yeah.
Well, even how they constructed that, isn't this the top of the dome supposedly the strongest part, and they have this big hole in this giant dome. So how they constructed
right.
it, there's a lot of unanswered questions on some of these things. And then these world fairs, like the fact that these world fairs were supposedly constructed in 2 years. They invite the world over to, various cities all over the country. And then they tore them down later. Like some of these things look beautiful, like very elaborate buildings and, lit up. Quite a few of them were lit up when technology wasn't electricity wasn't readily available, sometimes even barely invented.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
An interesting topic.
I also have. Now, I depart again from the Tartarian researchers insofar as they believe that it was destroyed by another alliance or empire that we are currently living with. But my argument is that it was just a reset. The same people are in charge.
Right. I would agree with that. The same people that have been in charge for a long time.
Yeah. Right. Well, maybe not as long as we think. It's another part of my argument that it's not, we don't have to go back to ancient Phoenicia or the imaginary ancient Egypt. That's all invented ancient civilizations. It may not be more than, I would be stretching it to say 1,000 years. I think 500 years is a reasonable estimate for this so-called civilization, including the Tartarian part, and basically starting from indigenous people. Before 500 years, I think there was nothing but indigenous people on this planet, living simply, very maybe light populations in the temperate world, but it's much shorter than we like to think. I even think now that both the Americas and Asia were colonized at the same time, and in the same way with people who were bred in these human farms, and that prior to that, the native populations were eliminated by a huge poisoning campaign that involved using textiles made in Western Europe, woolen textiles specifically. And of course, they would have been welcomed by people living in the temperate world with kind of harsh winters. And you've got this empire bringing you free textiles or willing to trade for them. And you don't know that they've been soaked in poison that will slowly kill you. There's no, what's the word? Contagious disease pandemic. That's another fake pandemic. It was a poisoning campaign, as we're still living with poisoning campaigns.
Well, and it kind of makes me wonder about the poisoning of the wells and, the supposed Black Death that happened. I kind of wonder if a certain group of people was poisoning the wells back then. And there's documented things in history that kind of point that out. But, if you think about it, they've been poisoning our water with fluoride for the last 50 years. So it's nothing new.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Correct. Yeah. And it's a cowardly way to kill people, of course, because they don't know what's happening. They make sure it works slowly. They're gone.
Right.
They are cowards in the end.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, the poisoning. I think that was also done with the help of the Catholic Church at the time, which the what are they called? Not the Dominicans, the
Jesuits?
Anyway, I forgot their names. No, that would be later, but no. Anyway, it's hard to trust any of the history we're given, but they do leave clues, as I said, in the names, and often you just have to question the history we're given. You realize it doesn't make sense. You have to kind of turn it around, turn it upside down, make connections between this and that. Suddenly things make more sense.
Right.
You know, as I did with, we just did with the bones and the catacombs and the secret ingredient and the old cement that was used.
Right.
And
well, they
all these
have
underground
a lot of
chambers
minions.
and tunnels.
True.
A lot of minions?
They got a lot of minions to do their bidding for them. I mean, I guess in a way, like, we're all part of the wheels or the cogs and the machines, but, back to the theater thing, thinking that the world's a stage in a way. And, that brings up a whole nother topic about Shakespeare and who really was Shakespeare and all that. But, and all the coded messages in his writings. But, they have a lot of people that are playing on, Team Darkness's side, I guess. That's one of the terms I like to use for him. Because it is pretty dark when you think about it. Well, they were actually eating us.
Yes, and probably.
Mike, what are you doing over there? Mike, turn that off. What are you doing, Mike? Hopefully that doesn't autoplay to something else. Oh my God! Turn that off. Or is it me? Oh man, it must be coming in my earpiece. Sorry. Okay, go ahead, Peter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, eating us, raising us underground. Even the word human is related to, I think, the Latin word for underground. Humus, humar means to bury, I believe. It gets hard to remember all this stuff, but it's all in my books. I have 6 books, been working on them for 18, 19 years.
Oh wow!
So yeah, the word human, the word human is already a clue that. Right. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying you got 6 books you've written about this stuff. Is that what you said?
Yeah, full of this stuff, chock full of this stuff, and they're not short books, and they're not available anywhere except through my email right now, anyway.
Well, go ahead and give the audience your email. If anybody wants to write it down. What's your email?
Sure. It's letter G, force, letter G, whiz, as in WIZ, Z, at gmail.com.
Okay. Wrote it down. So G, force, whiz, at gmail.com.
G-force, G-whiz, at gmail.com.
G-force, G-whiz, okay. Got it.
Yeah, and I'm doing a Sunday show with the host of the Fakeology website.
Fakeology, okay.
And it's not as loose and open as this. I do actual readings from different chapters. And you recently asked me, have we gone through most of this book? And I said, we would need 100 shows just for one book.
Wow. Yeah, I've got a friend that
talked
about
overwhelming for me.
Yeah, the meanings of the words, and he gets into the legal stuff with the Admiralty Maritime Law and the deceptive natures of the
I'm
courts and
familiar
these
with
judges wearing the black robe of Saturn and I think it has some validity, and it probably was the way things were done in the old times, I guess. But now I'm thinking they're taking this thing to the digital age, and I think it all falls under that communitarian law. What's that?
There might not be a court in the future.
No, right.
No,
you might be judged by an AI. Yeah, an AI judge.
Yeah, and it seems like they also planned that, because in the Gospels, Jesus basically advises people not to use the court system. So you could again use the Bible as to support this agenda.
Right.
And then the gentleman, the three professors spoke about anti-Semitism being weaponized. Well, the entire Bible is weaponizing Jewish people, as is the Holocaust narrative.
Right.
It's telling them that everyone's their enemy.
Well, it's also kind of weaponized the Christian Zionists. They perceive the enemy as the Muslims, and so I think it's kind of worked the opposite side of it too, where you got the whole Zionist movement and the Jews, and then you got the whole Christian Zionists, and they use that term Judeo-Christian, which I don't ever think should be mixed, because they're completely different in my opinion. But maybe they're the same.
Yeah.
Maybe it all stems from the same thing, Maybe it has roots all going way back.
I think, as strange, even 20 years ago, I began to suspect that, at least the Bible is not more than 500 years old, but more and more evidence for me suggests that this is very, very recent stuff. Our religions, as I said, we've inherited the Tartarian architecture, the buildings, and our ancestors were probably raised underground. And when they decided to do the reset, they released us. They gave us those cities, what was left of them. They didn't give us the technology to expand them. And they said, well, look, here's a beautiful cathedral for you. And hey, look, we found some scriptures for you. They're really ancient. And maybe they even provided the first priests. Everything was set for us. We just walked into a giant theater. And here we are 200 years later, thinking that our religion is 2,000 years old or more.
Right.
Yeah, it may be just that way.
Point.
It's right.
It's a great point. I mean,
it's making connections between, or just explaining how we could have inherited all this so-called Tartarian, and I don't think we just sailed across the oceans or walked out of our fields and stumbled upon empty cities. I think it was quite different.
Well, it ties in with the whole incubator babies and Cabbage Patch Kids. And so, yes, if your theory is right, where they were raising everybody underground and they would just slowly bring out the kids in these orphan trains, but it's a pretty bizarre thought to really think about. But when you go back and read about these things, you're like, orphan trains? Where do they get all these orphans? Like, what do you mean? And who was adopting all these kids, And then they have these big giant insane asylums, which were kind of weird. And I'm like, well, who were all the crazy people they put in these giant buildings?
Yeah.
It doesn't add up.
Imagine if you were, Yeah, not with the conventional explanations or the lack of those explanations. But if you were raised underground and suddenly released and into a new world, yeah, you might go crazy.
Yeah.
Or you might rebel and.
Well, and then you had all the kids working in the factories. Had all these young kids working in factories. It looked like they're wearing clothes that were too big for them. It's like, what is going on here? It doesn't make any sense.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And for the longest time, I thought the whole Tartarian thing was just kind of fake. I thought, and sometimes I even still wonder, some of this stuff written by AI, and they make these pictures that supposedly are in the Library of Congress, and I'm guessing some of them are. I mean, I think some people have went and looked at some of these things, the older records, and I believe that some of them do exist, but it's hard to tell these days. And I think they're trying to really even blur the lines more and more. The old photos, the actual old photos of the World's Fairs and stuff like that. I sometimes had wondered if a lot of that stuff was doctored by AI, making these photos, but I believe some people have went in and checked some of the stuff, and it is there. Have you thought about that? Have you checked out and looked for some of the older pictures and seen if they actually do exist?
Well, we're still, they didn't destroy everything, so we still have a lot of old world buildings.
Mm-hmm.
They probably selectively chose to destroy the ones that were the most damning, or I don't know, maybe most beautiful. They don't want us to have that. No evidence and nothing too beautiful for us. But the photos are probably doctored. There's the vanilla sky phenomenon. They seem to have erased the skies for some reason. Perhaps because they featured a lot of airships. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that's a good point.
I think it starts to make more sense if you don't assume it was a wonderful world and you start to assume maybe they're hiding evidence, and it was also a great, very evil place to be, despite the beautiful buildings. A lot of questions about those buildings.
Right.
Not just the underground stuff, but what were their toilets and what were they eating?
Right. A lot of those places weren't built with any toilets. There's no restrooms in these places.
Yeah, I don't think. Right, and I suppose they didn't care to include that in their architecture because, I don't know, it's complicated, and they had slaves to empty their potties, and
right.
Not sure, but that's very possible.
Right. Well, there's a lot of weird videos of these weird contraptions and cars, and there's even old print, paper clippings of just strange stuff, like these battery powered cars in the 1880s. Like, what makes a Tesla so special if they really had a battery powered car in the 1880s?
Yeah, exactly. Just to tie this back into the Israel-Palestinian discussion, if it's agreed that the Tartarian world was a kind of one world empire, then, and if what happened 200 years ago was just a reset, then we have to accept the reality that this world of 200 nations is another illusion, and all nations are just department stores controlled by the same people, and all the conflicts between different countries are all staged because all the countries are secretly on the same page, controlled by the same people. Ukraine, I've done quite a bit of work on analyzing the names of nations, and Ukraine is a good example. You can reduce it to the two English words, or an acronym and a word. UK rain. It's phonetically the same word. Rain, as in REIGN, rule. UK, United Kingdom. It's there. They've stamped their empire right on Ukraine in the name.
Interesting. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and there's a lot of ties to the royal families of all these, high up families.
Exactly.
They intermarried.
The Romanovs were so. Yeah.
What about the Romanovs?
Looked absolutely Western Europe. They looked absolutely Western European, and all these people are wearing the same secret society and the military stars, emblems.
Right.
It's hard not to notice that.
Well, also, I'll bring up a good point. Go ahead. I'll bring mine up later. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I don't memorize my own work so well, but as part of the argument that all nations are really just one, controlled by the same people, I bumped into information on I think it was the Russian military website, and they mentioned that the Ukrainians had complained that, no, it was vice versa. Anyway, they both have Secret Service agencies that use the owl as their symbol. Well, of course, it's an occult symbol too, but that wasn't part of the conversation. But the response on, I think, Russia's part was, well, lots of countries are using the owl as their symbol for their Secret Service agencies. Hello, yeah, that's because they all belong to the same cult.
Right. Agree. Well, to tie that in, what you just said, how is it that we have all this conflict in the world, and they all seem to agree on Antarctica? They all peacefully, split it up. They all supposedly send scientists down, and they have their little base areas and whatnot. But they never have any quarrels about it. They never, claim the mineral rights of this or that. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff down there, or who knows what's down there, but they all seem to agree on it, and they don't ever fight about it. I find that really odd.
Yeah. And a more contemporary example, with Trump speaking about buying Greenland, that's an inside joke on their part. It already belongs to the same people. We all all these countries belong to the same governors, secret people behind the curtains. So it's a joke on his part.
Right. I guess the whole thing in a nutshell is, they've got people bickering about politics, or bickering about certain little issues that, we really shouldn't be fighting each other. We should be kicking them out of power. And how can we do that when you can't get 10 people in a room to agree on anything? So yeah, I think that's the reason for all the confusion, is just to get us all preoccupied, like you were talking about earlier, following this distraction, this shiny object, and never paying attention to the big picture that we basically on a farm, and we're the farmed animals possibly, and that might still apply to today.
Yeah.
A lot of people that go missing
Sure.
in this country and all around the world, and human trafficking is very much alive right now.
I'm still on the fence about that issue. But still looking for something to convince me that it's real. I haven't decided either way.
The missing people, or the human trafficking?
Yeah, missing people. Right.
Yeah, it's hard to say what's real or not. I mean, they just throw a name out there, and you don't know that person. Well, so-and-so's missing. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. My argument against it. My argument against it is this: if they can raise their own humans, why go through the trouble of abducting people?
Right.
It's like, why would you go hunting if you have livestock in your backyard?
Right. That's a good point.
So I suspect it's just too much trouble to abduct people, and that's why they started the whole farming humans culture.
Right.
Culture, yeah, it's another interesting word. It's got the word culture has the word cull in it. Not very nice.
Right. That's a good one.
So the English language is so corrupted. I believe it was completely. They borrowed bits and pieces from other languages, but they changed everything to get their secret occult satanic meanings encrypted into this language.
Right.
Even the word encrypt, it has the word crypt. You're back to death and the underground.
Yeah, my friend talks about a mortgage. The word mort means death.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, almost all the words we use have these weird, you can split them up or break it up, and, or when you, when the judge asks you, do you understand? You probably don't want to say that. Yes, I understand, Your Honor. Because you're standing under his authority.
Stand under you.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's just full of all that stuff.
I just did some writing today about kings and popes, and the word pope is, it's a bit strange because the Greek equivalent is the papa, which is Greek for father, and that's part of the language of the Catholic Church, right? The priests are fathers. They're trying to replace your family. Anyway, Pope doesn't work that way, and it's a bit strange. Well, it's a play on the word, an old English word for puppet. It was spelled popet, single P or P-O-P-E-T. They just took the T off. It's Pope. And popes are puppets, and just the kings are the same. They're not absolute authorities at all. They're selected and placed there by the people behind them. There's an old myth, could be true, and I suspect it is, about kings being sacrificed in the past. Sacrificial kings. Books are written about this. And, the word king, if you take off the G, you've got kin, that means family. If you add an E, you've got kine, which means cattle, which people eat. And we're back to cannibalism and sacrificial kings.
Wow.
So
that's pretty interesting.
Have
you seen that? The language, yes. Yeah. It's very interesting. Have you seen that clip with, what's her name, Mariana Abrovimich? She's in the back of a car. Yeah. Some guy's asking her a question about Trump, and she talks about what MAGA really means. and it's like the highest
Yes.
satanic order priest or something or other like that. So yeah, I've got all these people wearing these MAGA hats. It's just, what does that really mean?
No,
you know?
I know. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And ironically, internet, the web, here we are in the net, their web.
Worldwide.
The crypto. Yes, the cryptocurrencies, they all have the main ones I know. I haven't had time to analyze. There's so many of them, but the main ones, even the technology, what's it called? Blockchain. It's a play on ball and chain. You're being enslaved. Bitcoin. The word bit is, why didn't they make it Bytecoin? It's a bit is what they used to put in a horse's mouth to help control it. So it's the language of control again. Ball and chain, a bit.
Right. Interesting.
There are more.
There's so many of these. I mean, like almost everything you can find something like this. That's pretty interesting. I never thought about Bitcoin like that.
Yeah, very pervasive. My stepmother wanted to help my ailing father, and she found some kind of scanning, I don't know, radiography. I forget what it was, but it used some kind of radiation. And I thought, what is this machine? I think you have to actually enter it. And I did a check on the name. The name was a play on a nuclear submarine. Oh, gosh. No, that's a hint. You don't use it.
Right. That's pretty interesting. Well, everything's got to be reanalyzed and questioned and scrutinized anymore. I mean, Miles Matthews, I'm sure you've read some of his stuff. He completely doesn't think that nukes even exist, that Hiroshima and Nagasaki were basically firebombed. They weren't nuked. There's a lot of evidence that might be true. And yeah, I mean, it's just a way to terrorize the world with this whole threat of being obliterated in an instant,
Yeah, people hid under their desks. Children were hiding under the desks. Meanwhile, we're dying of cancer and diabetes and heart disease.
Right.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
I guess for those who are.
Go ahead.
It's very sadistic. It's very sadistic, very evil theater we're living in.
Right. I'm just curious, do you attribute this to are they part of a cult, like a satanic cult, or do you just think these people are just absolutely bonkers crazy, prion disease cannibals from a long time ago, or what? You think they follow a religion, or?
Yeah, maybe.
Right. To me, it seems like they follow a religion.
That is the common argument too, right? Like they're Satanists or they're Baal worshippers or this or that. I think they've invented all that for us, just like they've given us all these different fronts, different secret societies, and they really work just behind that. They don't really care for them so much. They're self-worshippers. They're all suffering from a superiority complex. Can throw lots of words at them, sadists and whatnot. But do they have an actual religion? No, I think they have rituals, like cannibalistic rituals and some kind of parties that might involve that, and sex probably. But beyond, do they actually worship another god? I doubt it.
Yeah,
they're
I don't know.
self-worshippers, and they're pursuing immortality through whatever. There's so-called alchemy and adrenochrome.
Well, I did always find it odd that, some of the most evil people on earth lived the longest. Rockefeller, Queen of England, Dick Cheney come to mind. Barbara Bush.
Mm-hmm.
They lived to these ripe old ages.
Right, and and American presidents are averaging 180 centimeters. That's 5'11".
Right.
So
not very. That's not the average height of men.
A little bit. Sorry, what did you say?
I said that's not the average height of most men. Average height is 5'9".
No, it isn't. Right. So they may have bred each other themselves a little bit. Anyway, that reminds me of another facet of my research, is that they probably bred the distinct races that we know that occupy the temperate zones, because when you look at the native peoples of the tropics, they're very similar. They're quite short. They're slim. They're all dark, black-haired. But then you go into the temperate zones, and you have the Chinese, very distinct, the Han, and you have the Caucasians, white. And how did that happen?
Right.
Breeding, maybe intentionally to create division, to make us different, and not recognize each other as the same tribe. And then there's there's an outlier, or there's an exception to this rule. That is the Samoans, the Tongans, and the other Maoris. These three tribes are unusually big among the Pacific and really the tropical peoples. How did that happen? Well, again, the names are a clue. The word Samoan is an anagram for the Spanish word for mason. Masons. Just like the whole Amazon, the word Amazon is it's a close anagram for mason, the Spanish word masona. And the word Tonga, well, it's got the English word ton. It means heavy weight. These are big people, and in the Tongan language, Tonga means south. But that is strange too, because native people don't need the 4 cardinal directions. They don't travel far. This is something that the so-called European explorers needed for their their long travels. They needed the 4 cardinal directions. And what's the other one called? The Maoris. It's pronounced almost the same as the word for, maybe in Latin, mayor, which actually meant large again. So it's too much coincidence, and it's always European languages that explain foreign names better than the foreign names themselves.
Right.
So
that's pretty interesting. Wow.
Breeding and disturbing.
Yeah, I'm a little perturbed, and that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, maybe this so-called golden age wasn't that golden at all. Maybe it was just more of the same. And kind of rethinking it and looking at some of the evidence. I think you might be onto something. I really do.
I'm very much into going back to simpler lifestyles, closer to nature, growing my own food, Garden of Eden kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I think we're
And
kind of destined to head that way. If they really implode the economy and the way, people will withdraw from this technology and they will try to find a simpler lifestyle. But I don't know, when they roll this whole bio-digital convergence out, like, I don't know if there's going to be anywhere to go, because you could see it happening from places like Mexico to Thailand. They got Vietnam. They banned all those bank accounts that didn't have names on them. I mean, they're telling them you have to consent to our digital ID. You have to get your picture taken to get your money. I think Mexico's trying to enact digital ID. And you kind of wonder, like, really? Mexico, Vietnam? Like, that's the places they're rolling this out first? But maybe they're running a test run, and, it's all a script, and here, we'll start over here, and then, bam, we're going to hit America with it.
Yeah, well, I guess China qualifies as the first, but...
Yeah, for sure.
They're already there. Yeah, it's an important question. Will they succeed at herding us into their smart cities and their electronic grid? I suspect it'll be so unhealthy and so unpleasant that it's and difficult to manage just in terms of infrastructure that it's going to fail. But who knows? It'll be messy, that's for sure, for a lot of people. And
right, it's going to be challenging.
People are not waking up. Pardon?
No, I just said it's going to be challenging.
Times are challenging. Absolutely, yeah. And most people don't know how to go back to living simply. So they're going to walk into the trap and pretend they're happy.
Right. And a lot of people are going to walk into it because, they walked right into the COVID trap. Sign me up for my shot, doctor.
Yeah.
Anything to keep my family safe.
Yeah.
When you should have been reading between the lines and realized that keeping your family safe meant not mainlining that untested technology into your bloodstream.
Right. Yeah.
Many people failed the IQ
test. Too much trust.
Way too much trust in the authorities. The doctor tells me I need to listen. The lawyer tells me they're smarter than me. I have to listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's a fundamental problem. Too much trust, too little thinking, and that's a fundamental problem, or the essential problem. Not enough thinking going on, and how do we correct that? In fact, we don't even have a good definition of what qualifies as thinking, and I have defined 9 levels of thinking. I think it's very helpful.
Let's hear them.
Everything from pattern recognition, asking questions, recognizing that the causes and effects are more complex than just A causes B. These kinds of things qualify as thinking. Just trusting people and believing something does not qualify as thinking. But when we speak in English, we use this word thinking so freely, it's really just a synonym for believing most of the time.
Right. That's pretty solid, man. You're right. And a lot of people choose to just give up thinking in terms of just believing the experts.
Oh.
And it's done.
Yeah, and then there's a kind of, I don't know what to call it, an urban myth that thinking is painful and just it's not fun, so better not do that. You're thinking too much, they like to say.
Right.
Stop thinking.
Well, on a funny side note, I travel quite a bit, and one of my flights is made through a travel agency. And I noticed on the itinerary that they have, what is it called? Estimated CO2 emissions. And for this little hour and a half flight, they have this number of like 76.2 kilograms of CO2. So I call the travel agent up and saying, "Hey, what's up with this? Like, is there any way you don't track this on my itinerary? I don't really like, being, a carbon number associated with my name." And she kind of laughed, and it's like, well, just humor me for a second. I was like, how do they get this number? Show me the math. Show me how they derive this number, because is this like by the plane load, or is this my contribution of CO2 in this one little plane ride? She just was like, oh my God, really? And I was just, I kept it light. I wasn't like yelling at her or anything. I just wanted to just like question it. Like, what are you guys doing? Where do you get these numbers? Of course,
they
she's
don't
not
know.
going to. She doesn't know. She didn't know. She was like, I don't know. I don't know where this stuff comes from. I was like, well, take it off my itinerary, please. Because I don't want to see that. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
CO2 is good for the atmosphere, right?
They'll be yes, exactly. Good for plants.
Good for plants.
Plants.
They put them in all the greenhouses when they want things to go to bloom. Why are we trying to worry about CO2? It's been about the same concentration for the last couple decades. It's not changing that much.
Right.
Anyway, I just thought it was funny.
The long multi-million year charts show that carbon content was higher when the planet was basically a big jungle. That's true.
Right. Plants grew huge. Insects grew huge. Animals were huge, supposedly, if it's real.
I don't mind admitting that I fell for the climate change a little bit. I wanted to do something for the world, and I thought, okay, the climate change. I joined a group, with that crazy group called the Extinction Rebellion, and I just got annoyed by what they were doing downtown Toronto at the time, and I thought, why are we focusing on carbon? I don't know anyone who died of carbon, but the toxins in our food and our water and air are killing us. Why aren't we talking about that? So after about 2 months, I abandoned them. But yeah, it's another distraction. We're dying. We're not dying of carbon. We're dying of mercury and whatever else they're using. Thousands of invented chemicals.
Right. I mean, I got a whole problem with the whole recycling, thing. People, do their little recycling business, and they think that's helping to save this planet. And I'm thinking to myself, there's only one plastic that they actually recycle out of your little plastic that you throw away. They barely recycle the paper. A lot of times it just ends up in the landfill. So why am I going to make these guys rich? I'm not going to recycle.
Yeah,
no. And everybody gets mad at me.
It's a feel-good thing.
It's a feel-good thing, and they get mad at me when I throw something that's supposedly recyclable away. They're like, it doesn't go there. It goes in the recycle. No, I want to throw it in the trash. They get mad. They lose it sometimes. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. It's like not wearing a mask during COVID.
Yes.
Just about. It's probably ending up in the landfill anyway. So.
Right.
And the energy required to recycle this stuff is more than it takes to make a brand new one. So.
Right.
That's all around.
It is a tragic comedy we're witnessing right now. And I tend to agree with you. It is all a script, and it's a big play, and we're all the little actors, and even though we don't want to be, we're all the extras in the set, right?
Yeah. We need to stay focused on how to stay healthy in this place and keep our minds clear and healthy, and maybe figure out how to avoid stepping into the electronic prison that's coming, the next stage.
Yes. Couldn't agree with you more, Peter.
Well,
could not agree with you more. So let me, last couple minutes here. We got a GForceGWiz@gmail.com if you're interested in checking out any of his books. Email him. I'm going to email you when you get a chance. And you can check him out on Fakeology. Is that on YouTube? Fakeology, is that on YouTube?
No, Fakeology.
Or you get a website?
He probably has a YouTube channel. He has his own platform, a video streaming platform, FakeoTube. So I'm there every Sunday.
On FakeoTube or Fakeology.com?
Right, yeah. Other researchers are posting a little less, well, no, they're posting also stuff related to this fake theater world we're living in.
Nice. I'll definitely check it out. All right, Peter.
All right,
it's been a good show, man. Yeah, it was fun, man. It was a good time. All right, we'll be in touch, Peter. I'll get your email from Brian, and have a good night. Thank you, everybody at RBN.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
Sleep well.
Take care. All right, Mike.
Home is where the hearth is. In days gone by, the hearth was the center of the home. A social space where the family would come together to spend time and cook. The warmth of the Liberator rocket stove makes a house feel like a home. So welcome home. 100% American made, the Liberator rocket stove heats for a fraction of the cost of other methods. Your home can be safely heated with firewood, wood pellets, or twigs from your yard. The Liberator rocket heater is waiting to be part of your home. This unit ships directly to your door, or you can save $300 with a factory pickup. To order, go to thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Because you can handle the truth.